Subscribe to my YouTube channel, share it with your friends, and comment your thoughts. The hall fell silent. The cafeteria fell into a dead silence. Trays stopped clattering. Conversations froze mid-sentence. Even the buzzing of fluorescent lights seemed to vanish under the weight of what just happened. Emily Green, quiet, shy, the girl who always sat alone, had just flipped Sarah Mitchell over her shoulder with such precision and force that Sarah hit the floor with a sickening thud, skidding into the vending machine near the wall. For one impossible moment, nobody moved. Not the crowd of bullies who had surrounded Emily just moments ago. Not the students who had been recording with their phones, eager for another viral clip. Not even the teachers who rushed in too late to stop it. And then came the gasps. What the hell just happened? Did she just throw Sarah? Was that judo or something? Emily stood at the center of it all, shoulders squared, face flushed, fists clenched. Her chest rose and fell quickly, but her eyes were calm, focused. The cafeteria had seen fights before. Screaming matches, slaps, even a broken nose once, but never this. No one had ever seen someone fight back like this, especially not her. 1 hour earlier, Emily hated lunchtimes. The cafeteria was too loud, too bright. She didn't have friends to sit with, and she didn't trust anyone enough to try. Ever since she'd transferred to Mayfield High 3 months ago, all she'd done was survive. Barely. And then came the bullies. Danielle Harper, Sarah Mitchell, Lexi Kwan, the self-declared queens of Mayfield, cruel, popular, and bored enough to target anyone who didn't fit their shiny mold. Emily, with her thrift store hoodies and quiet voice, was perfect prey. Today was worse, and than usual. They'd waited for her by the tray line. Sarah accidentally knocked her lunch out of her hands. Lexi laughed like it was the funniest thing she'd seen all week. Danielle, the ringleader, smirked and leaned in close. "Still, playing dress-up in your dead brother's hoodie?" she whispered. Emily flinched. She didn't respond. She never did. The hoodie, faded navy blue, worn thin at the sleeves, had a small patch sewn onto the shoulder, a circle with a red sun in the middle, and beneath it, 3 kanji symbols her brother had once explained meant strength through stillness. It was from his judo club. He'd worn it every day until the accident. She hadn't taken it off since. Danielle leaned in closer. "Tell me, do you wear it to bed? Is that how you sleep now? Pretending he's still..." Rip. In one swift motion, Sarah grabbed the hoodie from behind and yanked hard. The sound of fabric tearing was loud, deliberate. The patch fluttered to the floor. Emily froze. A storm opened up inside her. Something ancient, something buried. She bent down, picked up the patch and stared at it. The red circle was scratched now, the edge torn. "You shouldn't have done that," she whispered. Sarah laughed. "Or what? You'll cry?" Danielle leaned against a nearby table, arms crossed. "Or is little Emily gonna..." Emily stood up. Her hands were trembling, but not with fear, with control. Back to the cafeteria, Sarah lunged forward, still laughing, thinking this was a game. Her hands reached for Emily's arm. Emily stepped in, turned her hips and hooked Sarah's wrist. Seoi nage. Sarah's feet left the ground. Her laughter turned into a yelp as she flipped through the air and slammed onto the tile floor. A boy in the back dropped his phone. Someone screamed. Lexi backed away, but Emily was already moving. Danielle was next. "Are you psycho?" she shrieked, stepping toward her with fury in her eyes. Emily didn't answer. Danielle swung wide. A clumsy slap aimed at her cheek. Emily ducked under the arm, spun around, grabbed Danielle's jacket, and swept her leg. Danielle fell flat onto the bench behind her, the air whooshing out of her lungs. She rolled off onto the ground, coughing. Emily stood tall. "I didn't want this," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "But you tore what little I had left." A wave of murmurs spread through the cafeteria. Nobody laughed, nobody jeered, they just stared. An hour later, Vice Principal's office, Emily sat across from Mr. Avery and Ms. Talia, her eyes fixed on a spot on the floor. The office was cold. It always felt cold. Ms. Talia was still fuming. That was a violent outburst. You assaulted 3 students. Do you realize how serious this is? Mr. Avery raised a hand. Let's take a breath. Emily, can you explain what happened in your own words? Emily looked up slowly. Her voice was calm. They tore my brother's hoodie, the patch, the only thing I had left of him. Ms. Talia shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Emily went on. I tried for weeks. I reported them. I stayed quiet. I ignored them. Nothing worked. And today they pushed too far. Mr. Avery leaned back, folding his hands. You have training? My brother taught me judo, she said. Before he died, and you used it on purpose? I used it, Emily said, to stop them from hurting me. That's what he taught me. Use your opponent's strength against them. Never attack first. But if you have to stand, stand with your whole spine. For a moment, no one spoke. Ms. Talia sighed. We'll have to notify your mother. There will be a disciplinary hearing. Emily nodded. Okay, but her voice had something else beneath it now. Strength and fire. That evening, home. Her mother placed a mug of hot cocoa in front of her. You sure you're okay? She asked. Emily nodded, eyes on the hoodie draped across the table. She had stitched the patch back on, crookedly, but it was there. Do you think I messed up? She asked softly. Her mom sat down beside her. I think you reached your breaking point, and I think you broke the silence instead of yourself. That takes strength. Emily looked at her mother. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I know, she said, but you also didn't deserve to be treated like that. You stood your ground. Your brother would have been proud. A lump rose in Emily's throat. She didn't speak again that night. The next day, school hallway. Students stared as she walked by, not with mockery, with curiosity. Respect, even. Danielle hadn't shown up. Rumor was she was nursing bruises and crying to her parents about being assaulted. But the video told a different story, and every phone in school had it now. No punches. No rage, just clean, controlled self-defense. The narrative was shifting. For once, Emily wasn't the victim. In first period, someone left a folded note on her desk. She opened it, expecting another cruel jab. But it read, they had it coming. That was badass. Unknown for the first time in weeks, she smiled, just a little. Later, that afternoon, locker hallway, Emily opened her locker. There, stuck to the inside with tape, was another note. Different handwriting, no name, just 4. Chilling words, you think you're safe. Her heart skipped a beat. She looked down both ends of the hallway, empty, but somehow it felt like someone was watching. The fight had made her visible, and someone didn't like that. The shadows behind the laughter. The note in her locker was short. Just 4 words, but they clung to Emily like icy breath on the back of her neck. You think you're safe? She held the paper for a long time, staring at it. The handwriting was jagged, almost rushed. There was no name, no signature, not even a doodle, just black ink on crumpled white. Her fingers tightened around the paper until it wrinkled. Was it Danielle, Sarah, one of their friends, or someone entirely new? Suddenly, the cafeteria incident didn't feel like the end of something. It felt like the beginning. Later that day, Principal's office Principal Mendez was a tall man with thick glasses and a stern expression. But unlike most adults at Mayfield High, he had a reputation for fairness. Emily sat across from him, fidgeting. With the strap of her bag, I saw the video, he said, folding his hands. And I've read the statements. Most students are calling it self-defense, but we have protocols. I understand, Emily said quietly. You're not suspended, he added, but we're recommending mandatory counseling and a conflict resolution program. It's not punishment, it's prevention, she nodded. Okay, Mendez tilted his head. "You're not angry." "I'm tired," she said honestly. That seemed to settle something between them. He leaned back in his chair and sighed. "One more thing about that note." Her eyes snapped up. He tapped a report on his desk. "Your teacher found it in the trash after lunch. Same writing as the one in your locker, apparently. No fingerprints, but the words were the same." Emily felt the chill again. "So, what does that mean?" He looked her in the eye. "It means someone isn't finished." In the hallway, the mood had shifted. The students didn't taunt her anymore, but the silence had a new shape to it now, sharp and watchful. Some kids avoided eye contact. Others stared too long. She couldn't tell who admired her and who wanted revenge. Then came Rachel. She was in Emily's biology class, tall, curly hair, always sketching in her notebook. They'd never spoken before, but as Emily passed by her locker, Rachel leaned in and whispered, "Be careful. Not all shadows follow you to keep you company." Emily blinked. "What?" Rachel didn't explain. She just closed her locker and walked off like she hadn't said anything at all. Flashback, 2 years ago. Her brother Caleb stood in their old backyard, holding a pair of foam practice swords. Balance first. Always. Emily groaned. "Why can't we just do the cool flips and throws?" He laughed. "You want to flip people, first learn to stand straight when the wind blows." They practiced for hours. He always ended the sessions the same way. "Remember, never. Strike first, but always finish it." She smiled at the memory until the next thought came. Caleb was gone now, and even though she had defended herself, someone was still striking from the shadows. That night, home, Emily sat on the edge of her bed, scrolling through her messages. There were over 50 new notifications, videos, comments, memes, the cafeteria. Scene had gone viral, at least locally. Some messages called her a hero, others weren't so kind. "Next time, try MMA. Bet she practices in the mirror, loser. Watch your back, Karate Kid." And then one message stood out. Unknown. Number. "Bet you don't see me coming either." Emily dropped her phone. It buzzed again. Unknown number. "Sleep tight, Judo girl." Her hands trembled. She blocked the number. Then she locked her bedroom door and turned on every light. The following morning, school library. Emily tried to keep her head down, but someone slid into the seat across from her. "Rachel." "I'm not stalking you," she said casually, "just following you like a responsible weirdo." Emily raised an eyebrow. "You always talk like that?" "Only when I'm nervous," Rachel admitted. "Look, I know it's probably not my place, but I think I know who wrote the note." Emily leaned in. "Who?" Rachel hesitated. "There's this group, not official or anything, just angry kids, ones who think jocks and bullies shouldn't be the only ones with power. They call themselves the Hall Keepers." Emily blinked. "What?" "They think they're vigilantes," Rachel continued, "but really they're just twisted. They watch, they document, and when they decide someone deserves payback, they act." "And you think I deserve payback?" Rachel shrugged. "You embarrassed the queen bee in front of the whole school. You didn't just break the chain, you shattered it. That scares people." Emily sat back. "So what now? I just wait for them to come after me?" Rachel leaned forward. "Or you? Expose them first." That afternoon, gym class, Emily entered the girls' locker room feeling watched, always watched. She changed quietly, her back to the room, and tried to blend in. But as she stepped into the gym, something caught her eye on the wall. A message, spray-painted in red across the basketball scoreboard. "Violence breeds violence. You've been marked." Gasps spread. Phones came out. Coach Thompson cursed under his breath and started barking orders to clear the gym, but Emily just stood there, her jaw tight. Whoever they weren't just trying to scare her now, they were trying to turn her into the villain. Principal's office, emergency meeting. "You're saying a group of students are threatening Emily anonymously?" Principal Mendez asked. Rachel nodded beside her. I don't have names, but I've seen them. They recruit quietly, whisper behind lockers. They hate anyone who disrupts the system. Mendez turned to Emily. Do you want to go home for a few days? Emily hesitated. No, she said finally. I'm tired of running. He gave her a long look. Then we'll protect you, but be careful. And if you get any more messages, come straight to me. She nodded, but she already knew it wasn't going to be that simple. After school. Parking lot. Emily walked quickly, eyes scanning the rows of cars. She heard footsteps behind her. Fast. Her heart jumped. She turned. It was just a janitor pushing a cart of cleaning supplies. She sighed and kept walking, but as she approached her mum's car, she spotted something tucked under the windshield wiper. Another note. She yanked it free. This one had no threats, just a question. If you're not scared, prove it. And beneath it a location, boiler room, 5 p.m. Come alone. The boiler room. Dare the boiler room. Emily had walked past it dozens of times, hidden behind a heavy metal door near the back of the gym wing. Most students didn't even know it was there. Now it was where someone wanted her to go, alone. The paper in her hand fluttered slightly in the breeze. If you're not scared, prove it. Boiler room, 5 p.m. Come alone. She glanced at the clock above the gym doors. 50 p.m. Her heart pounded. Every instinct screamed trap. But she wasn't the same girl who had eaten lunch alone with her head down. Something inside her had shifted, and there was no going back. She zipped her hoodie, her brother's hoodie, and whispered under her breath, "Use their strength against them." Then she walked toward the door. PM. Inside the boiler room. It was colder than she expected. Dim light filtered in through a barred window near the ceiling. Pipes lined the walls, hissing gently, and the floor was slick with condensation. She stepped inside, letting the heavy door creak shut behind her. No voices, no footsteps, just her breathing. Then click, the sound of a phone camera. She spun. Someone stood in the shadows. A guy, hoodie up, mask over his mouth, black jeans, average height, anonymous. He didn't speak. He just raised a phone and started recording. Another figure emerged, taller, wearing a red bandana over his lower face, muscular arms folded, silent. Then a third and a fourth. 4 of them, all masked, all watching her. "You're brave," the one with the phone finally said. His voice was muffled but male. "Or stupid." Emily didn't move. "Who are you? You can call us the truth, or the balance, or just the hall keepers." So Rachel had been right. He continued, "This school needed a system, order. The popular kids ruled too long. We punished them, quietly, controlled chaos. And me?" Emily asked. "You upset the balance," another voice answered. It was the tall one, red bandana. "You made yourself a symbol. We don't do symbols." Emily stepped forward. "I defended myself," phone guy snorted. "No one cares about truth. They care about narrative. And now you're the girl who made violence look noble." She clenched her fists. "So what? This is punishment." "No," Red Bandana said coldly. "It's correction." He reached into his coat and tossed something onto the ground. A phone, her eyes widened. "How did you—" "We have our ways," phone guy interrupted. "Contacts, tools. You're not the only one trained." Then without warning he lunged. What they didn't expect. Emily pivoted hard. His hand grazed her arm, but she caught his wrist, twisted, and dropped her weight into his momentum. He hit the ground with a thud. Red Bandana cursed and charged. She turned, ducked under his grab, and swept his leg with a sharp, clean motion. He stumbled sideways, crashing into the boiler pipes. The other 2 moved slower. One tried to grab her from behind. Big mistake. She dipped her shoulder, spun, and flipped him over her hip. He hit the floor flat on his back, groaning. The last one hesitated. Smart, but too late. She took a stance, wide, balanced, grounded. "Still want to correct me?" she asked. Silence. Then heavy footsteps retreated. The last one ran. Phone guy groaned from the floor. "You're insane." Emily walked over and picked up her phone. She aimed the camera at his face, still partially hidden, and took a picture. Then she turned and walked out of the boiler room, heart racing, but steps steady. She didn't run. Later, that night, at home, she sat cross-legged on her bed, staring at the picture she had taken. It was grainy, dim, and the mask covered most of his face, but his eyes, they looked familiar. She zoomed in, sharp jawline, thick eyebrows, light brown eyes. She'd seen those eyes before. Her phone buzzed. "Rachel, you okay?" "I heard something went down." Emily stared at the message for a moment, then typed, "Emily, we were right. It's bigger than we thought. And now it's personal." The next day, school security. Titan's word spread fast. Someone had vandalized the gym. Again. Someone had been assaulted. Again. And someone had walked out untouched. Again. Emily sat in homeroom, quiet, unreadable. She was no longer invisible, but not all attention is good attention. When the bell rang, students gave her space as she walked through the hall. Some nodded with silent respect, others whispered. But one thing was clear. Fear had shifted sides. Later, the art room. Rachel slid her sketchbook toward Emily. It showed 4 shadowy figures with masks, hunched over a chessboard. The queen piece was shattered. "That's you," she said. "They thought they were playing chess. You flipped the board." Emily studied the image. "I don't want to be a symbol. I just want peace." Rachel nodded. "That's the problem with courage. People either follow it or try to erase it." Emily sighed. "I need to find out who they are." Rachel hesitated, then leaned in. "There's one person who might help. Used to run with them, until he got scared." After school, behind the auditorium, the guy's name was Marcus, quiet loner, kept to himself, always had headphones in. Rachel approached first. He looked up. "No, I'm not getting involved." Emily stepped forward. "Then they win." He paused. "They're not just a bunch of angry kids," he said finally. "There's someone leading them, someone smarter. He doesn't wear a mask. He doesn't get his hands dirty, but he gives the orders." "Who is he?" Emily asked. Marcus lowered his voice. "Logan Decker." Emily's stomach turned. Logan was a straight-A student. Student council vice president, volunteer, teacher favorite, polished, and apparently a puppet master. That night, Emily's room. She stared at Logan's school photo. Rachel had texted her screenshots from the yearbook. He looked perfect. Too perfect, Emily whispered to herself. He's the one pulling the strings. Then she made a decision. She pulled out her notebook and wrote one word on the first page. Expose. The final scene, school library. Emily sat at a computer, eyes scanning student files and club rosters. Rachel was next to her, chewing her sleeve. "I found something," Emily said suddenly. "Look, security logs. Logan requested late night. Building access 3 times last month," Rachel leaned in. "Why would he need access after hours?" "Because he's hiding something." Emily copied the data to a USB drive and slipped it into her pocket. Rachel stared at her. "You're not going to stop, are you?" Emily shook her head. "Not until this ends." Rachel gave a small smile. "You know what that makes you?" Emily looked up. Rachel whispered, "A threat." The perfect masked Logan Decker. Student council, vice president, debate club captain, honor roll regular, the kind of guy who held doors, open for teachers, and smiled for school newsletter photos. The idea that he was the mastermind behind a secret underground group targeting students. Unthinkable, at least to most, but Emily had learned something crucial since stepping into this storm. The most dangerous masks are the ones worn with a smile. After school. Rachel's garage. The 2 girls sat cross-legged on a blanket. The USB drive between them. Emily opened her laptop and clicked through the files they'd copied from the school server. Security logs, access permissions, late-night camera footage. There it was. 3 entries. Logan Decker entry time, 10:42 p.m. location. Gym wing purpose, student council decoration prep, Rachel scoffed. At 11 p.m.? Sure. He must have been decorating with threats. Emily's eyes narrowed. The boiler room is in that wing. Rachel nodded. You think he was meeting them? I think he was giving the orders. They sat in silence a moment. Then Emily said, We need more. This isn't enough. Rachel reached into her sketch pad and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I drew this from memory, she said, opening it. It was a layout, rough but clear, of the old janitor's supply room near the east stairwell. Unused, sealed off, mostly. Forgotten. Emily looked up. What is it? I saw Logan go in there once last semester, Rachel said. Thought it was weird. No reason for a council kid to be in that part of the school. Emily's heart pounded. We check it tomorrow. After hours, Rachel hesitated. Are we seriously breaking into an abandoned room? Emily gave a half smile. We're not breaking in. We're uncovering the truth. The next day, after school. They waited until the final bell rang, then hid in the back of the library, until the building emptied. At 4:45 p.m., the halls were silent, except for the distant hum of a floor buffer. They crept down the east wing hallway, their shoes squeaking softly on the old tile. Rachel stopped in front of the door. This is it. Emily tried the knob. Locked. She knelt and pulled a thin hairpin from her pocket. Rachel blinked. Wait, you can pick locks? Emily shrugged. Caleb taught me. Said it was just another form of problem-solving. Within seconds, click, and door creaked open. Dust, cobwebs, the faint scent of mold and old paint, but in the center of the room, a metal file cabinet. Rachel opened the top drawer. Folders, notes, Polaroids, names. Emily grabbed one of the folders and flipped through. Subject: Emily Rivera, status, monitored tag, Judo, violent potential, peer threat, social risk. Her stomach dropped. These are dossiers, Rachel whispered, on students. Emily scanned more names. Brandon Waters, Haley Lynn, Marcus Ford. She froze on the next one. Rachel Nolan. Rachel reached over and opened it. Her eyes widened. They were tracking me. Since last year. Emily grabbed the entire stack. They weren't just punishing bullies. They were collecting data, curating victims, controlling narratives. Suddenly, footsteps, fast, close. Emily shoved the files into her backpack and yanked Rachel back behind a shelf. The door creaked open wider. A flashlight beam swept across the room. A voice spoke softly. Male, confident, always. Cleaning up after amateurs. Emily's eyes widened. She recognized that voice. Logan. He walked in, straight-backed, scanning the space like a hawk. He moved to the file cabinet, opened a lower drawer, frowned. Missing, he muttered. They're getting sloppy. Then he pulled a folder marked Shred from under his jacket. Emily strained her eyes. She saw her name on the tab, but instead of placing it in the drawer, he tore it in half and threw the pieces into a metal bin. He lit a match. Flames bloomed. Then he walked out. Rachel whispered, We need to go, now. Back at home, Emily's room. They laid the files out on Emily's floor, careful not to bend or smudge anything. It was all there. Surveillance reports, anonymous tip forms, student behavior logs, even pictures taken without consent. Rachel held up a note clipped to her file. Subject creative but erratic. Watch for unstable behavior. Possible rebel influence. She snorted bitterly. Guess that's code for has a brain. Emily stared at her own folder again. It wasn't just judgmental. It was cold, clinical, like she was a threat too. Be neutralized, not a human being. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. You opened the wrong drawer. Emily's breath caught. A second buzz. Unknown number. Careful, warrior girl. Some fights aren't won with fists. She blocked the number instantly, but the message had done its job. The stakes had changed. They weren't just trying to scare her anymore. They were watching in real time. Next morning, unexpected allies. Emily walked into school. Someone brushed and passed her in the hall. Fast, a folded piece of paper landed in her hand. She looked around. The hallway was full of moving students. She unfolded the note. "I'm done watching them hurt people. Meet me in the old auditorium storage. Noon, alone." She immediately knew who it was. Marcus. 04 p.m. Auditorium. Storage room dust danced in shafts of sunlight. Emily stepped in slowly. Marcus stood. By the broken piano, he looked nervous, jumpy. "They know you took the files," he said. "Logan's freaking out. You scared him." "I don't want fear," Emily replied. "I want it to stop." Marcus nodded. "Then listen closely. There's a drop scheduled, Friday, after hours. Logan's handing off files to someone off campus. He said it's bigger than school now." Emily's heartbeat quickened. "Where?" "Maintenance tunnel, south building access, 7 p.m. "You didn't hear it from me. Why are you helping?" Marcus looked at her, eyes heavy with guilt. "Because I helped build this mess, and I don't want to graduate knowing I left monsters in charge." Later, the setup begins. Emily and Rachel made a plan. Borrow a hidden camera from the AV club, record the exchange, wear a wire, get backup copies of the files, leave no loose ends. "This ends Friday," Emily said, her jaw tight. Rachel nodded. "We take down the hallkeepers, all of them." They bumped fists. No turning back now. Friday, 6:50 p.m. Maintenance tunnel entrance dim, narrow, damp. Emily adjusted the camera pin on her jacket. Rachel stood beside her with a second phone recording video. Marcus's info had been right. Footsteps echoed. Then came Logan, flanked by 2 masked students. He carried a black messenger bag. He didn't see Emily at first, until she stepped. Out of the shadows, Logan froze. His expression didn't flicker. "Emily," he said smoothly. "We're off the record now?" She held up her phone. "Smile for the camera, Logan." The masked students shifted. One reached for something in his coat. Rachel stepped out next, recording. "Back up," she warned. "Every second of this is being saved to the cloud." Logan looked between them, then laughed softly. "You think this is justice?" Emily took a step forward. "No, this is exposure." Logan dropped the bag to the floor. Then he whispered, "In Plan B." Suddenly, a loud bang. Smoke exploded into the tunnel. Emily coughed, eyes stinging. Screams echoed. Footsteps thundered. Rachel's phone clattered to the ground. When the smoke cleared, Logan was gone, but the bag was still there. Emily snatched it up and ran. Back home. That night, they opened the bag. It was full of flash drives, cash, printed. Logs, blackmail photos, even a burner phone. Enough evidence to bury Logan and every hallkeeper with him. Rachel stared in awe. "We have them." Emily nodded, clutching one of the drives. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "Run while you can." This time, she didn't block it. She replied, "I'm not running, I'm rising." Exposed in the spotlight, Emily stood in front of her bedroom mirror, adjusting the mic pinned under her hoodie collar. Her hands trembled, not with fear, but with fire. Tonight wasn't just about revenge. It was about justice. Behind her on the bed sat the black bag Logan had left behind, half-zipped, revealing a trove of secrets that could ignite the whole school. Flash drives, Polaroids, schedules, money, and one item that changed everything. A receipt, dated 6 weeks ago, signed by Principal Harold Whitman. She stared at the signature, disbelief turning to fury. "He knew," she whispered. "He knew this entire time." Earlier that day, library study room, Rachel tapped through the burner phone they'd found in Logan's bag, her eyes wide. "Emily, look at this." Messages, dozens, some recent, some old. All from a single contact. W. "We need to lock down Rivera. Too unpredictable. W. Upload footage to student record. No trail to us. W. Get rid of Nolan's sketchpad. She's drawing too much attention. Rachel looked up. You think W is Whitman? Emily didn't answer. She didn't need to. It all fit now. The ignored complaints, the fake detentions, the lost camera footage from earlier bullying incidents. This wasn't just a rogue student ring. It was a protected operation, a sick system that punished the weak to preserve the powerful. I'm done waiting for the adults to fix this, Emily said, her voice sharp. Rachel nodded. So what now? Emily reached into her bag and pulled out a folded flyer. Spring assembly, Friday, 6 p.m. in the gym. Full school event, live-streamed. We go public, she said. Live, loud, and no turning back. Friday, 5:55 p.m., school gymnasium. The gym buzzed with excitement. Banners hung from the rafters. Phones were out, selfies flying. Faculty stood near the stage, dressed in stiff smiles and uncomfortable ties. Principal Whitman adjusted his mic and greeted the students like a politician. Tonight, he said, we celebrate excellence, courage, and unity. Polite applause. Then he announced the Student Spotlight segment, an open mic invitation for any student to come forward and share something meaningful. Rachel leaned into Emily. You sure about this? Emily gave a single nod, her gaze locked on Whitman. Let's break their silence. She stepped up to the mic. 02 p.m. The mic drop moment. At first, students didn't even look up. Another shy girl stepping to the stage. Background noise. Then she spoke. My name is Emily Rivera, and I have something to show you. Rachel stepped beside her and connected a USB to the laptop tied to the gym's projection system. The screen behind. Emily flickered, images appeared, a picture of Logan Decker exchanging a sealed envelope in a hallway, surveillance footage of Brandon being shoved while faculty walked by, the file folders, dossiers on dozens of students, and finally, the receipt signed, stamped, dated, Whitman's signature clear as day. Gasps echoed through the gym, phones lifted, recording, live-stream chat exploded. Whitman bolted upright. That's enough. Turn that off now. Emily didn't budge. You let this happen. You protected them. You called people like me threats. But tonight, I'm calling you what you are. A coward who failed his students. Security moved. Toward the stage. Rachel blocked their path with her phone camera up. We're live. Touch her and the whole internet sees it. A roar surged from the students. Applause, cheers, even a chant. Let her speak. Let her speak. Emily turned. Back to the crowd. I was silent when they shoved me. I was silent when they ripped my shirt. But silence doesn't protect you. It only protects them. Her eyes swept across the stunned faces. I'm not here for sympathy. I'm here for truth, and I'm not alone. One by one, students began to stand. Brandon, Marcus, even shy kids no one ever noticed. Dozens. Each held up their phone, showing they were recording, streaming, standing with her. Emily stepped down. Whitman's face was pale. Logan, if he was even in the building, was nowhere to be seen. The house of cards had fallen. Later that night, Emily's house. The video had gone viral, 1,000 shares on Instagram, trending on TikTok. Hashtags flooded the feed. Rivera revealed. No more hallkeepers. School unmasked news outlets picked it up within hours. Rachel threw her arms around Emily. You did it. We did it. Emily didn't smile. Not yet. Her mom entered the room, tears in her eyes. She'd seen it all online, but instead of asking questions, she just hugged her daughter, tighter than she ever had. I'm proud of you, she whispered. Your father would be too. Emily finally let herself cry, not from fear, not from pain, but from release. 2 days later, principal's office, temporarily vacated. The superintendent stood stiffly as he addressed the students via PA system. Of this morning, Principal Whitman has been suspended pending full investigation. Multiple faculty members are also under review for complicity in student misconduct. Students exchanged glances in the halls. Some smirked, some looked stunned, but no one doubted the shift. The system had cracked. That afternoon, Marshall, Jim Emily stood barefoot on the mat, wearing her blue G, eyes closed. The air smelled of sweat and bamboo polish. Her judo instructor bowed. "You've changed," he said. Emily looked up. "I didn't want to." "Good, because real strength isn't about what you want. It's about what you do, even when it costs. You." He handed her a new belt, brown, not black yet, but not far either. Later, park bench with Rachel. The sun was setting. Emily and Rachel sat sharing boba tea and watching ducks in the pond. "So," Rachel asked, "what now? We toppled a school-wide conspiracy. You planning to run for student council next?" Emily laughed. "Definitely not. I've had enough secret files and hallway politics to last a lifetime." Rachel smiled. "You're kinda a legend now, though." Emily turned thoughtful. "I didn't want to be." Then she looked at her friend. "But maybe, just maybe, it was worth it." Rachel raised her cup. "To the girl they underestimated?" Emily raised hers back. "To the girl they couldn't." A break. Epilogue. 1 week later, a final message arrived on Emily's phone. No number, just a scrambled sender ID. "It's not over. There are more of us. But now, so do you." Emily stared at the message, then deleted it. She stood, tied her hair into a bun, and walked outside, into the daylight, not as prey, but as a protector, the kind who fights back, the kind who flies high, the kind who never forgets. The final lesson. It had been 3 weeks since Emily's truth shattered the silence. The school was no longer the same. The hallway that once echoed with mocking laughter now held something unfamiliar. Respect, not fear, not pity, just quiet admiration. Some bullies vanished, others were suspended. Teachers suddenly listened. The surveillance cameras were finally used for protection, not manipulation. A new acting principal, Ms. Klein, had been appointed to clean up the mess left behind by Whitman. But the biggest change of all was Emily herself. Monday morning, counselor's office. Emily sat across from Ms. Ramirez, the school counselor. "You've come a long way, Emily," Ms. Ramirez said, tapping her pen against a notepad. "How are you really feeling?" Emily hesitated, then smiled softly. "Lighter, like I've been carrying a backpack full of bricks, and I finally dropped it." Ms. Ramirez leaned forward. "You dropped more than bricks, Emily. You dropped a system built on silence. You gave others a voice." Emily shrugged. "I didn't mean to become some hero, but you did, whether you meant to or not." A pause. Emily looked toward the window. "I just wish it didn't have to hurt so much to get here." Flashback. The hospital visit a few days earlier. Emily visited Brandon in the hospital. His injuries from Logan's last assault had kept him home longer than expected. When Emily entered his room, he tried to sit up. "Hey, hero," he grinned, wincing slightly. "You look taller." Emily chuckled. "You're just shorter lying." "Down." He gestured toward the TV where a news anchor mentioned her name. "You know, you went viral, right? Half the kids in the city know you're the judo girl now." Emily shifted uncomfortably. "I don't like the spotlight." "You don't need to," Brandon said. "It found you for the right reasons." Then he added something she wouldn't forget. "You didn't just stand up for me. You stood up for who I couldn't be." Emily blinked fast, brushing away a sudden tear. Thursday, Principal Whitman's final hearing. Students were allowed to submit statements. Emily sent hers anonymously, but her words were read aloud in front of the board. Some leaders build walls, others open doors. Our principal did neither. He locked doors behind him and left us to fend for ourselves. I'm not asking for punishment. I'm asking for protection. For the next kid who walks these halls and wonders, will anyone Care if I'm hurt? That day, Whitman was officially terminated. Logan's case was still under investigation. His parents had pulled him from the school. His last words to Emily in the hallway were, "You'll regret this." But she didn't. Not for 1 second. Saturday. Judo competition day. Emily stood at the edge of the mat, adjusting her brown belt. Her coach clapped her on the back. "Today's match is symbolic," he said. "Not about winning or losing, but showing up." She nodded. "I've been showing up for weeks." He smiled. "Exactly." In the final match, Emily faced an opponent larger, stronger, and faster. She didn't win, but she stood her ground. Every time she was thrown, she got back up. By the end, her opponent bowed deeply and whispered, "You're tougher than you look." Emily grinned. "I get that a lot." The crowd clapped not for the winner, but for the warrior who refused to quit. Monday, student assembly, anew. Chapter M's. Klein, the new principal, invited Emily to say a few words. At first she declined, but then she remembered Brandon's words. Rachel's loyalty, her father's voice in her memory. She stepped up. "Hi, I'm Emily Rivera. Some of you know me as the girl who flipped Logan Decker down the hallway." Laughter, nods, even a few claps. "But that wasn't the most important thing I've done. The most important thing was saying enough when everyone else was scared. You don't have to be loud, or perfect, or even brave every day." She took a deep breath. "You just have to start. Even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble, starting is how everything changes." The room went silent, moved, and then a standing ovation. Later, school courtyard. Rachel sat beside her on the steps, eating a sandwich. "So, you gonna write a book about this?" Emily laughed. "Not a chance, but maybe I'll join the newspaper." "Still gonna train?" "Always." Rachel tilted her head. "You know, you changed more than the school." Emily glanced at her. "How so?" "You changed me. I used to be scared of everything. Now I walk with my head up." Emily smiled. "Then it was all worth it." That evening, Emily's room A package arrived with no sender name. Inside was a single object, a folded note, and a gold judo belt. The note read, "For the fighter who took down more than bullies. You didn't just flip bodies, you flipped the script. From one survivor to another, keep going. The world still needs you." No name, no clues, but Emily didn't need one. There were others out there, like her. Silent fighters, quiet warriors, hidden champions. She looked at the gold belt and whispered, "I'm not done." Final scene. Park. Sunset. Emily jogged along the path. Earbuds in, ponytails swaying behind her. A little girl with a backpack tripped ahead of her. A group of older kids laughed nearby. Emily paused. She walked over, helped the girl up, and locked eyes with the bullies. They went silent. No threat needed, no words, just the look of someone who'd been through fire and come out forged. As Emily continued down the path, the little girl watched her go, eyes wide, full of awe, because sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one who refuses to stay down. The end.